There is a mystery woven into the ancient scriptures, a mystery spoken not from the earth, but from the breath of heaven. It is not a word of history only, but a word of identity, a word of calling, a word that reaches across ages and lands to find you right where you stand. The story opens quietly, almost hidden among details of kings and battles. But inside those words lies a revelation that shakes the soul. A fugitive comes to a man named Abram, and in that moment, for the first time in all the pages of the Bible, for the first time in the history of the world, a new word appears. The word is Hebrew, Abram the Hebrew. No one had ever been called that before. No nation, no tribe, no people, only one man standing by the oaks of Mamre, dwelling in a tent, living as one who has left his home behind for a land he could not see. That word Hebrew would become the identity of an entire people, but before it belonged to a nation, it belonged to a man. And before Abraham's descendants walked in it, their word carried a meaning, a secret that few ever stopped to see. The word Hebrew comes from the Hebrew root avar, meaning to cross over. A Hebrew is one who crosses over, one who passes from one land to another, from one reality to another, from what was to what will be. A Hebrew is one who leaves behind the familiar, the comfortable, the inherited, the predictable, and steps into a realm he has never known. Abraham left the land of his fathers, left the idols of his culture, left the identity the world tried to give him, because the voice of the Almighty called him to cross over. And then centuries later, Moses stands at the edge of the wilderness at the end of a 40-year journey, looking at the river that separates desert from promise, wandering from destiny. He speaks to Israel, reminding them of the word that shaped their identity. You will cross over the Jordan, he tells them. You will avar. But then the Lord speaks to Moses and commands him to ascend a mountain, Mount Nebo, part of the mountains of Abarim, the mountains of the crossing over. Moses cannot cross the Jordan with the people, but God still calls him to the mountain of crossing over, because Moses too must cross from earth to heaven, from the temporary to the eternal, from the tent of dust to the glory of God. This theme echoes again and again. The Hebrew is always the one who leaves, who journeys, who crosses, who moves forward. And if you belong to Messiah, if you have been born again, the scriptures say you are a child of Abraham, not just spiritually Jewish, not merely grafted into Israel. You are in the deepest sense a Hebrew, not by blood, not by culture, but by calling. You are a Hebrew because you too have been called to cross over, out of darkness into light, out of sin into righteousness, out of the old identity into a new creation. You cannot be born a Christian. You must be born again. And the moment you were born again, you crossed over. You left the land of your past. You left the identity you once lived in. You left what the world said you were supposed to be. You left your old bondage, your old wounds, your old sins, your old failures. You stepped out not knowing fully where God would take you, but knowing that you could not remain where you were. And that is the power of the spiritual Hebrew. Not only did you cross over once, you are called to live as one who crosses over every day of your life. Every day you are leaving behind what is old, what is dead, what is no longer aligned with God's purpose. Every day you step forward into something new, something deeper, something higher. In those who are not born again cannot leave their old lives, but you can. You have the power to walk away from what would have bound you forever. You have the power to walk out of the prison the enemy tried to lock you in. You have the power to step beyond what your past said you were allowed to be. Because you are a Hebrew, you cross over. When Messiah walked by the shores of Galilee and said, "Follow me," every disciple who chose him had to leave something behind: boats, nets, careers, families, homes. The ones who followed him were the ones who stepped out, the ones who crossed over, the ones who felt the pull of heaven stronger than the pull of the world. They became spiritual Hebrews long before they understood the word. Their lives changed because they moved, and to be a Hebrew is to live in motion. Abraham dwelt in tents. Israel dwelt in tents. The wilderness generation slept under canvas, under the stars, because God built into their identity the truth that this world is not home. A tent is temporary. A tent can be folded, lifted, moved. A tent has no foundation in the earth, because the people who dwell in tents know their true foundation is in God. And if you are truly born again, you too are a tent dweller. You are a traveler, a sojourner, one passing through. You walk through this world, but you are not of this world. You work in it, but you do not belong to it. You minister to it, but you do not derive your identity from it. Your citizenship is in heaven. Your treasure is in heaven. Your true home is in heaven. You are here on assignment, sent, appointed, commissioned, temporarily stationed on earth for purposes that echo in eternity. If you get too attached to this world, you lose the power of your calling. The Hebrew must remain light, free, unanchored to earthly chains. Do not let the troubles of the world tell you who you are. Do not let the idols of the world distract you from the journey. Do not let the voices of fear or temptation convince you to pitch your tent permanently in a land you were never meant to stay. You are passing through. Whatever storm you face, do not say, "This is where I will remain." Say instead, "I am going through this. I am crossing over. I am avoiding this. I am not staying in the pit, the sorrow, the confusion, the bondage. I am a Hebrew. I pass through." Even God uses the word avar when revealing his glory to Moses. When he says, "My glory will pass by," the word is avar. The very movement of God is in the word Hebrew. To be a Hebrew is to be one who moves with God, one who moves by the wind of his spirit. The same word that means wind in Hebrew also means spirit. The Hebrew is one who can feel the wind shift and move with it, who listens to the leadings and whisperings of the Spirit and follows. And there is one more meaning in this word: to pass away, to end, to be gone. The Bible says that if anyone is in Messiah, the old person has passed away. You have the power to let the old version of you die. The world does not have that power. It tries to reinvent itself with resolutions, new habits, self-improvement, but the old self still lives. But you are a Hebrew. You have crossed over into a new creation.